Over the course of the week, President Bola Tinubu announced the rollout of a 1 trillion naira national construction and household support program for Nigerians. President Tinubu made the announcement during the 142nd National Economic Council meeting attended by state governors and some deputies at the State House, Abuja. The intervention program includes the distribution of 50,000 naira grant to 100,000 families for 3 months and a disbursement of 155 billion naira for assorted foods. The 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory are also expected to get 10 billion naira allocations each for CNG buses. During the meeting, President Tinubu issued a 7-day ultimatum to state governors to provide their plans on how to boost food production in their respective states. Of course, I hope Alistair Wilcox is still on with me on Zoom. I hope I can establish connections with him. But in the meanwhile, I still have Olufemi Lawson right here in the building. Well, Olufemi, it appears the president gave all the state governors 7 days, right, to provide concrete feedback, right, on their plans to rev up food production in their respective states. Do you trust the governors to deliver on this?
It's still part of what we raised earlier. Our states have become so, a lot of our states are no longer productive. In the first place, do we need the president to ask you to do the basics? In actual fact, for me, I think the federal government have no business even running a Ministry of Agriculture in a country that have 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. What are the state governments doing in terms of agriculture that you need to wait for the president to begin to advise?
Now, before you extend this conversation, do you think our democracy has been lazy in actually giving our governors task to give them their exact role as to what they should be doing as governors? Do you think we have actually been, set back in this regard?
It's not about our democracy, it's about our constitution. We are practicing a federal system of government where there's no true federalism, because if there's true federalism, I don't think our governors have some of those businesses that they go to do in Abuja, in the first place to do. A lot of these states have become so unproductive, indolent, because they are very sure that by the end of the next 30 days, something is waiting for them in Abuja, no matter how unproductive they are. Until the president, and I'm expecting that one of the things actually Bola Tinubu will do as president is to ensure that what he has spent years as a pro-democracy person doing is to ensure that we restructure this country. Why am I saying this? Why do we have 36 state governors who have to go to Abuja to be given 7 days directive on how they should be productive? These are supposed to be the basic responsibilities of states. Agriculture are supposed to be basic responsibilities. The federal government have no business in this. And a lot of things that are made, like I keep saying this.
What you're trying to say
there are states in Nigeria that have no business being poor. I've been to the 36 states of this country. I've seen states where ordinarily agriculture will earn more than what they get from Abuja. What is 10 billion? To a state like Taraba. If you go to Taraba State, if you see their cultural potentials in Taraba State, no governor will be busy with that and travel to Abuja. In fact, you have to invite them. If you go to states like Ondo, look at the aquatic, opportunities that are, the bitumen is there. See, Kogi State, even Zamfara State, state that you think are just waiting for the next 30 days, can be so productive and rich. The president must do more by encouraging these states to go. And the only way they can do that is by ensuring that we do the needful in our constitution to ensure that, because the constitution has crippled some of these states in the real sense of it. So I think rather than waiting for these 30 days, this ultimatum 7 days, the governors must be sincere. Unfortunately, we have been unfortunate to have elected a lot of people who are also lazy with no sense of responsibility in governance. If we have more people who are determined, who are ready to work, I think it's an opportunity. Our current situation is an opportunity for them to rally around each other and demand that, let's allow our state to be productive.
Do you think this current crisis we're going through now has exposed a lot of governors?
It has really exposed a lot of people. You heard the chairman of the local government in saying he just paid 2 months' salaries. Why should a person work for 2 months before being paid? It was due to some inability of the state or the local government to fund the payment to function. So we must look at how we can redeem ourselves from this situation, not by expecting grants or support from federal government. For me, why should federal government be giving 10 billion naira to states? The poorest state in Nigeria should be able to afford 10 billion for its citizens.
Well, let's look at some of the criteria under the National Construction and Household Support Program. Now, 100,000 families in each state will be getting 50,000 grants for 3 months. 155 billion to be disbursed for assorted foods. Now, 540 billion for household grants, even as 36 states and federal capital will get 10 billion for the procurement of buses. Now, the fear here is how effective would this get to those who really need it? Because there's always this argument about Nigeria's database not so comprehensive enough to get these things across.
The database is a problem, but I think this is a major intervention.
Right.
It will definitely get to a reasonable number of the targeted, household and citizens. But I think we should do more by ensuring that these kind of programs are not done based on calculation of household, thousands per se. Every Nigerians, on the basis of their vulnerability, should be able to access this kind of opportunities. And the only way we can achieve that is when we have a database that actually speaks about if you are employed or not, the government knows that or no. Because many of these people are people who would ordinarily will be people who can feed themselves, who are gainfully employed, and they will fall into the category of these 3.7 million households. So if we invest in our database, we can actually identify people who are vulnerable, people who are truly needy when these kind of opportunities come up, not just blankly trending, because a lot of this will end up being given to political supporters and sympathizers of
all right. Finally, before I let you go, the lingering food crisis is also linked with insecurity. And of course, I just want to ask you this very question. Maybe you might be brief about it. Who is failing in the responsibility for sanity to return in the agricultural sector?
Like I said, the federal government have no business in agriculture. Let federal government hand it over to states. Let the various states be tasked with the business of agricultural productivity to the extent that states can empower citizens. But ultimately, to get our people back to farm, not by the virtue of planting tomato in baskets and all this kind of agriculture. We must invest and improve on our security. Like I told you, I've been to virtually all the states in the country. The last assessment, we had over 4,000 farm settlements. I'm not saying farms, because sometimes a farm settlement can contain about 150 farms, 100 that have been closed down due to insecurity across the country.
Well, thank you very much, Olufemi Lawson, for your time. All right, and that's our show for today. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Mark Otabo. Until next week, goodbye.